Hi, welcome to the second half of season 1 of Buffy, because that's how we wanted to do it. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
This is Cool Couch Cinema. We're here to talk about Buffy season 1, episodes 6 through 12, roughly.
Oh, 6 through 12?
I think that's the pack one. Watched it before
Right.
we recorded before we recorded the other one.
Okay.
But, whatever. I guess Heather's going to give us a breakdown of a few of these episodes, give us the good pointers of what happened in these last few episodes.
Okay. So number 6 was the pack one, so it's number 7 that we would have started on, because we did talk about...
Kind of.
Okay.
It.
Well, I'll just mention it then, since,
Because we did not talk about it.
In the pack, which is episode number 6, the group goes to the zoo. Xander gets into some shenanigans and ends up joining a wolf cult.
They're hyenas.
A hyena cult.
It's a whole part of the racism within that episode.
Yeah.
Not the drums.
A lot of stuff happens in that is just pretty wild for TV. But...
Are you insane?
They ate Principal Flutie?
Basically, they have to save Xander by retracing his steps and performing some sort of ritual.
It's like that episode of Home from the X-Files. Just that crazy. That
my
level.
God.
I know this is the wrong time to ask the question, but what are hyenas? Are they cats? Are they dogs? What are
They're
they?
dogs.
Are they?
Technically dogs, yeah.
Okay, cool.
They're the type of dog.
They're just unattainable and unlovable like cats.
Yeah, they got weird looks to them. So let's just think about it.
I've always loved the fact that they are just the vulture of the canines. I just think that's really cute.
Just hanging out.
And they're just constantly laughing at each other. Like, what a fun group of dogs. You could get them to laugh at, any bad joke. I've always wanted a hyena, because I've just always wanted to be like, hey, you want to hear this joke? And then they would just always laugh. I would always feel good about myself. Okay, episode. I keep saying issue because we always do that in the comics one. Episode number 7 is called Angel, and it's
Who could it be about?
Who's Angel?
It's about Buffy's frustrating non-relationship with Angel and some of his history, where he comes from and who he bangs.
Ireland.
Clearly. Episode number 8 is I, Robot, You, Jane. Spirit's been trapped inside of a computer that's flirting with Willow.
One of my new favorite episodes.
It's really good. I took a lot of notes from that one just because there were so many terms in there that I thought were really cool. But basically, Buffy and Giles have to figure out how to exercise the internet to save Willow's life.
I really just love how all the weird things about that episode too are all just normal things we do now. I'm talking to some stranger on the internet.
Yeah, that was the best. You don't know who you're talking to, Willow. Dude, I just bought a couch from someone I don't know. This is 2021, lady.
I'm about to hop in a fucking car with some stranger.
Yeah.
One of my oldest friends, I've only talked to through the internet. He straight up lives in Chicago. I could go visit him anytime,
How do you know it's not a demon?
See, I don't.
Possessing the
and
internet. How do we know that every stranger we're not interacting with on the internet isn't a demon that's just possessing the internet?
Mother of God.
You don't need to make me more paranoid than I already am. I trust the internet. It never lies.
Well,
Okay.
Sorry. Episode number 9 is called The Puppet Show. The Scooby Gang is forced to join a talent show.
Yeah.
And there's a puppet involved.
And it's actually pretty good.
It was actually pretty good.
Really
I remember
good
when I was younger, I did not like that episode a lot, but after watching it now, I don't necessarily, it's not one of my favorites, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. There was that weird plot twist where it was oh my god, the puppet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Detective puppet?
Yeah,
and then
smoking
they just
cigars.
never went anywhere with it.
Yeah.
They tried.
They're we're gonna introduce this character, but
That's the episode
never
that has the
mention
shirt,
it again.
right?
Yes.
I think so.
The shirt that Xander wears? We're going to be talking. Episode number 10 is called Nightmares. The group is being plagued by nightmares, and it's their worst fears, pretty much.
A monster man with a club hand.
Yeah. Giles can't read.
Also, like a Nazi, just random Nazi symbols on the walls.
Yeah,
with
that's
no...
in my notes too. That is definitely in my notes. I wrote that down because I was confused. Out of mind, out of sight.
I was like, the movie with J-Lo?
Buffy and Cordelia team up to take down an invisible spirit who is more than that.
I was like, oh, you're misdirect. Okay,
yeah,
right.
there was more, because I was about to just, like, spoil the entire episode and be like, this is what it is.
It's a show that aired in 1997.
I know, but clearly if people are watching this, it's because they've never seen Buffy before and they want our opinions on it.
Or they're old hats and, they're in.
Yeah. But also within that, Angel shows back up and
saves the day.
Talks, yeah.
His fashion sense has gotten a little bit better, it feels like, from those first few episodes.
It's strange enough that they realize to, like, just put him in a shirt and a jacket.
Yeah,
don't try to,
that's literally all they do. It's like, this dude, how does she find him hot? He's not even, like, fashionable.
I was still just hoping that he would lose the shirt underneath. And that would be his look.
Just no shirt and jacket?
Yeah. His duster.
It's like a velvet jacket, suit jacket.
Oh my god. And he's like breaking out because he's like allergic to the... Anyway, that's like a dream of mine, is just for Angel to be completely red and swollen. Episode number 12 is called Prophecy Girl. Buffy wants to quit the life of being a slayer because there's no way she's gonna come out of it alive. Right. And, some events happen. The bloated cum master is a big part of this one because his ritual is complete.
Yeah, but he just dries on up.
Yeah, no, he dries up so fast. It's like one jack and he's gone. But that was also the last episode of the season, so that is where we're at right now.
Yeah. Christopher, let's just take it away with everything. Jokes.
Jokes,
funny stuff, serious stuff. We got a lot of. Heather's got notes. So,
I took notes.
She's a techno pagan.
That was one of the notes. Literally one of the notes. Techno pagan.
And I was like, I was going to start on that episode too. iRobot, Me Jane, or whatever it was. It's got a lot of like the intro is actually really cool. Of like they're showing the demon like in the past doing demon stuff like in a castle, and then also how they like bound it to the book, and then what it says about the space that like the book is, and then the internet that it's like in. Because when it's in the book, it's like in its own mind, like it's a prisoner, and it only can like be with itself. But once it's like read by being scanned and like put into the internet, he's got all this like information and like knowledge at his fingertips. But it's weird that like he did like I don't understand why the first thing you would do is
romance a teenager.
Well, not romance. I get. Yeah, it's like and they were like
he can get someone lonely
and they were all ready to go because he was like, "Hey, kill Buffy," and that dude was like, "You got it, Mister."
Done.
Yeah, and then it's like weird that he wanted to make a body because and
that was the body that he made.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing too. It's like, and I also think it connects back to but like one of my issues with Whedon and like his writing style is that he self plagiarizes and he is repetitive a lot, and like that demon kind of looks like Danger from his Astonishing X-Men run, and like that thing, this computer, this AI that goes from nobody to having a body, and like this question on like why it picks its form or why does it need a form, because he's like, oh, I got a body now, and just like snaps that dude's neck and like in front of Willow, but it's like, well, he still could have got someone else to do it, like he doesn't, and it's like, and we weren't that far advanced in the sci-fi to where like he made a body that like had like feeling and things like that. It was just like a robot body. Like, why would he need to make one? But that's just me nitpicking.
Yeah, I just honestly feel like there was a missed opportunity. His body just could have been computer screens.
Oh, yeah,
That's
some
how they
Lawnmower Man
built
type
his
shit.
body,
Yeah. Oh,
I would have loved if that's what his body was just like random computer parts that he had found around, because that was like the form that he had taken, because that's, what he was living out of was the internet within a computer. So, I don't know, I just thought it'd be funny if it was like, well, let me just build this computer body.
And the introduction with Jenny of like the character that she is. And like, and I didn't even say I didn't forget, but I was trying to remember. I was like, well, when does she get integrated into the world? And then Josh is like listen lady, I gotta explain crazy stuff. She's like, there's a demon in the computer. Like, oh, that's cool that they're and it's a problem throughout the Buffy universe the whole time of like normal people just like oblivious to all the murder, just wanting like murder in Sunnydale.
It's just like, I don't know if there's some sort of memory wipe that happens every day in Sunnydale. They're like, we'll just erase the murder memories.
I mean, it could be like one of those things where it's so traumatic that their brains
they're just
cover
forgetting
it for them. Yeah, and that's something that they would uncover if they went to like hypnotherapy or something.
Sunnydale is just an abused child.
Yeah.
Just forgetting horrible traumas every day.
I guess like this will be something they do talk about like within later seasons, because there is like, the whole like the last year of her like high school when they like acknowledge the fact that Buffy has saved their life and shit. So it's like, I don't know, it's some like they do acknowledge it, but they also like don't. It's like a weird like limbo that they play in this world, because it's like, well, yeah, this weird girl is just, like, hanging out the librarian, punching, like, I guess vampires and shit, like, has saved us countless times, like.
And then especially with the graduation, too, where it's like, you watch the mayor turn into, like, the conquering worm, like, at that point, and then you're still just like, oh, yeah, that happened, It's like, no, dude, you, like, especially with, like, Angel, too, where it's like, how, like... In Angel, there's a fucking demonic like law firm. It's also a biggie population. That means there's probably more vampires. Like, there's no way you could not know. And there's still people like, there's demons. It's like, what is wrong with you people? What is going on?
Yeah, you could not live in this universe without being aware.
Yeah, especially because like if someone got turned, if I got turned into a vampire and I was like dead for like 3 years and you saw me, you would be like, oh, homies, I gotta stake this dude.
Yeah, because Sunnydale's like not that big.
It's like it's four houses.
A small town. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Palmyra in Nebraska. Like, you turn around and you're already through the town.
You're always at Buffy's house.
Everyone knows each other. Like, it's stupid. Every single person goes to the elementary, middle, and high school in one building.
And it's also the Bronze. Like,
yeah. The basement is the Bronze.
Good. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Slight subject change. This was something I was disappointed in with like the new comic book run that they're doing with Buffy. That like I was really hoping to see like Master 2.0 in the beginning, because like his character in the first season, it's total like first season like bad guy pilot monster where like he doesn't really do anything. And also like in the commentaries, if one has watched them, they always talk about within the show that like the fighting in the show is like the redheaded stepchild. They're really always focusing on the story more than anything else, and the fighting kind of comes later. Or just even like the Master's plan, like what his plan was just to get out, and then like just be out. Like he never had like any kind of.
To live.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, I got a bucket list.
I'm full of cum and I gotta go.
Exactly. He's got
full of cum and I feel alive.
So like that was the whole thing where it was like he like I guess he would be like the like he would take Buffy as this force of good, then like killing her and him coming out would like be that like we later see in the episode where where Buffy when Cordelia wishes Buffy never came, and like then that would just be Sunnydale. Like is that like what was like the Master's like attempt and goal or anything else like that? And it was just kind of like, oh, that was like weak tea, and I hate that they jumped it in the new run, because it just didn't. It would have felt like because as we've been talking about with the book already, it's like they're already like loading it full of nostalgia already. Like what was the Master too much for you to not like? Because like by issue 2, like every character from like season 8 is like already in that book. Yeah, just like what are you talking about? This is insane. I was always a big proponent of like telling people to like skip the first season, and I don't even think this is a credit to like you two or like the nostalgia, because I had fun watching it with you two, but I think it was but watching it and there's new information in my eyes and like a new lens to view it on, I really enjoyed the first season. Like I didn't really think there was like a bad episode, you know, like in the sense of like, oh, that was unwatchable or anything even like political or anything in that realm. But it was like fun to like watch like this show and kind of just like breathe it in and was like, oh, this is not because we're all like, you know, fucking overwhelmed with like fantasy and sci-fi stories now, and this was at a time where like, you know, they were punching high really with like I said the robot episode. I wouldn't say the pack. Or just like the concept of like what Buffy is. It was just like, oh man, this was like a really fun. You can see the attempt in the show, which I was like, oh, that's charming.
I feel like when I was younger, I didn't appreciate it because the first season, as with most of them, is like an introduction season, but it has like the overarching theme of like the master and stuff. But each one was its own separate thing. Like the only thing that kind of carried into each one was like the characters and their relationships. Like one plot in one episode didn't follow into the next one, other than like briefly mentioning it, like, hey, that's what happened. But each episode was something completely different, and I love shows that are like that because I know later on it's not like that. It's like they all carry on into the next ones, like to be continued and stuff.
I think this first season does like focus way more on like creature features sort of stuff, and I think
Monster
like
of the Week,
like rather than like the other seasons, they do try to. I mean, obviously they do still have those, but it's less so. And I think they're kind of just like, I mean, if this was the only season they got, they're like, well, let's just throw what we can in here, see what kind of stories we get out, and like, you know, that's what they did. Because it's just like, you can't, I think, like, within that first season, you couldn't make it just about vampires. Like, that would just be boring, almost, you know? Like, and even the story with, like, the master, even though he is a vampire, it doesn't feel like a vampire either. Like, I don't know.
It's more of a demon, like an essence, I guess, of this vampire creature.
Because he's so different than all the other vampires we see. Like not just because he's bloated with cum.
He's the only one who can come.
But his outfit is, you know, it's fascistic. Like it separates him from other, and also his look. Like, because then I think we can later connect it to the last season when they're the uber vamps that they bring out, which is like, so obviously there's like this evolution tier of vampires, and if one wanted to get into this argument, like there is like a racial purity when it comes to vampires, like, because like vampires like Spike and Angel, you know, the vampires we know and love, are usually like looked down upon like a vampire like the Master, because like, you know, he's like shed, you know, having his human visage. He's probably like he's got like brain control powers that like only like what him and Drusilla clearly have, and that Dracula. You gotta like and Dracula's you know Dracula, so it's like obviously there's, which
they bring in later,
which is fantastic episode. Like, I mean, I could
I love that episode.
It's but yeah, so like the Master isn't like, he's completely he's different, and but it's like, like I said, he doesn't do anything. He's just like... that
it is like a character that, is very first season. And it is unfortunate because, he is just like bloated, full of cum, and just like annoying. And dumb. Just dumb.
They do give him a little like, it's not necessarily a send-off, but they add a little bit more to his character in Angel. There's like a flashback episode where they show him like siring Darla and like... But like they don't really do it anymore. But it's just nice to see the character again. Where you're like, oh yeah, I forgot this was a shared universe. I thought I was just watching Angel because I'm weird, but no, like I'm following this thing to the end. I guess like, ooh,
pardon me.
And then I think the dummy. There are a lot of episodes that like, because you mentioned it and I was instantly like upset that it like never happened. But like the Invisible Girl episode, she should have been an episode involving the Initiative. Like she totally, there should have been a callback to that. There's no reason not. There shouldn't have been, and like I'm upset that we didn't get it, because it's like you laid that out right there. That like, there's like, you know, there's a government, and that was another thing too. It's like how that works is like, okay, so like not being acknowledged makes you invisible, but now they're actually being acknowledged. Wouldn't that like revert you, or are you just like stuck as an invisible person?
Once you're there,
you're done. Yeah. I think it's like maybe like a kind of like, you know, get like stained hellmouth kind of like thing going on. But I was really upset. I was like, that totally should have been an Initiative episode, I guess. But let the ball drop. Who cares?
Maybe that'll be in the comics.
Yeah, maybe. And yeah.
I don't want to get there.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
And but yeah, and then like the dummy episode, like he has he's got that nice like little throwaway line where he's like, "Oh, I fought with a Slayer in the 30s," and you're like, "Oh man, that's cool." And that's one thing I've always wanted in like the Buffy world was like I always wanted to see Slayers before Buffy because I think that'd just be cool, you know.
That's why that issue.
I would say that every generation's issue of Buffy is so good.
Yeah, that was like the only good thing.
Reason.
Yeah, and that
like, I feel like they have a few like that too, where it's just. Been,
I was gonna say when I was in like middle school, when I was super into Buffy, they had the books that were coming out, like the novellas and stuff, and one of them was about one of the previous Slayers. I can't remember which one, but I remember I was like obsessed with it because I was like, oh, it's a Slayer other than Buffy, and it was like one of the stories was about the Slayer who Spike got his coat from and stuff like that. Like it was very interesting to me to read them. I still have them somewhere, so I'll find them and like bring them so you guys can read them because they're actually really cool.
Have a show
and
and
I
tell.
really liked them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can avoid it as much as we can, but
go.
we're gonna.
Get there.
Talking about Xander as a whole is difficult. Like, it's very difficult to like, because it's like I don't think we don't have to defend him. We don't have to. We don't have to like point at his bad features. I think just talking about him like it helps.
Yeah, I mean, because it helps, like, we talked about this before, I think we all have it, it's just, like, it helps also acknowledge, like, that was what our world was, like, it wasn't just, like, Xander Harris as a character, you know, it's, like, Friends, it's, like, all of the 90s sitcoms, American Pie, like, those things, like,
He is the combined effort of every man I've ever hated in pop culture.
Yeah,
and just life.
I just think,
distilled.
yeah, and I think that's, like, who Xander is, and it's, like, yeah, it's just unfortunate more than anything else, because it's, like, he has the ability to be a more fleshed out, like, character who, like, isn't just a friend zone man.
Yeah.
Like, just...
He has a lot of potential.
And it's, like, I mean, I was never a boy in high school, but, like...
I mean, you are one now. So.
I am one now, so it's okay. Like, it's totally fine. But it's just his, like, weird obsession with Buffy, and after she's told him no over and over again, but for him to just be like, I'm just gonna keep asking her out.
I don't hear what you're saying.
And if I was his friend,
hear.
I would be like, you need to get the fuck away from me. We can't even be friends anymore,
Yeah.
you, like, horny man. Like,
Yeah, I think Buffy handles that with great aplomb. She is very... a lot nicer than, I would have been about it, because I would not have been friends with him. Because, for one, I'm not attracted to him at all. And if you keep hitting on me like that, I'm going to kick you between the legs. That's just how I am.
And
but,
I loved his show of, like, machismo, too, that he, like, tried to do.
There were a lot of times when he did that where it's like, this is not necessary.
Yeah, like, especially when he talks to Angel, and it's just like, dude, like, you're annoying. Like, this is not tough. Like, this is just annoying.
Any of the physical things, though, like when like they're in Buffy's clearly fighting a monster that could kill any one of us, and like Xander tries to get in there, and it's like, no, like, dude, this is probably the best time for you to just sit back and let Buffy be Buffy, because she
and he
like,
does it because he thinks he's trying to protect her, which is
or
like,
help, or it's like the
which
best
is
way.
hilarious because
Yeah.
you've seen she can handle herself. Like, she
Very
doesn't
well.
need you in it. You don't need to prove anything.
Yeah, and then that's like the weird kind of place that like Xander like lives in for like the entire like series, to where like the best thing they can like do for him is like give him like a construction job so they can like break the house. You know, they break that window like, you know, every season, and you know, he's the one like, oh, that's the best thing that they could do is like some kind of insight and then that tool. But that whole blue collar like examination of Xander is another can of worms that we'll be getting into later. But like,
but then they just kind of lean into him being kind of a shitty person too. Like, they don't, like, they never make Xander like I mean, I guess near the very end, but it's just like also doesn't feel like he really ever understands why he is like the way he is.
Because I think
the man just needs some fucking therapy.
Because they do that thing where they build him in certain seasons where they like make him this good person and make him do good things, but then he immediately like turns around and reverts to his old behavior, and then it's like, oh, so he's not growing as a person at all. He's exactly the same as he's been the entire series. And it's like I said, he has so much potential of who he could be and just chooses not to change at all.
And I think that's like, I mean, if it was actually like nuanced and like sad, I think I'm more like I'm bloating this with cum. No, I don't think no one else is, but like you said, like he's a kind of this like distilled 90s man. And I think that's like what it is. It's like the bad qualities of Xander are what, you know, are the bad qualities of like men that can, you know, that can either be handled well or not handled well. Like him going after Buffy, and you know, it's like it can be examined that like that's what the whole thing is like, you know, he didn't take no for an answer, and it's like Buffy never had to tell him, like he never got like a hard no, so he never like took it seriously. But the thing is like where we are now, people understand more, like it doesn't have to be a hard no. It can't just be like a no and like you just hear it and, you know, and move on. But then you also hear stories of like couples that like start like that, like, oh, he just kept asking me out, and so then we started dating, and it's like it's like that's what we're trying to like figure out how like navigate. But like as we go, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, but as we go on, we keep figuring out like it is like nuance that we have to like, because like the thing that I was like it took me years to figure this out. Spoiler alert, jump ahead. But like the moment when Xander goes to tell Buffy that they're doing the spell to get like bring Angel's soul back, and Xander never tells her, I didn't understand it. Like when I saw that episode as a child, I was like, why did he not? I was like, did he forget? Why did he not tell her? And then it wasn't until like years later I was like, oh, Xander was a complete piece of shit right there. like oh my god. So it's like it's these weird moments of like that's like, you know, like I think Xander gets judged harshly because like he is kind of the only like he is like one of the only like boys in the show, because like Giles is like, you know,
Giles is a man.
Yeah, Giles is a man. He's a man, but also like Giles. But the thing, but like but then it's like the extra increase because when we see his bad boy arc, and he also feels responsible for it. Like all the bad he's done as Ripper, he like fucking hates, and like everything he does is about like getting better and not doing that anymore. But in the case of Mr. Alexander Harris, he just like it is that like he takes 2 steps forward and like 4 steps back, and it's like, dang it, Xander, get it together.
Because he just didn't get a hard no.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it's weird. Like we don't like, because like you said, Buffy is a plum. She's like, hey, that's
she handles herself with just great aplomb.
Yeah, and she. But the thing is, like Buffy, and the indifference is like, and it gets shown many times where like Buffy doesn't have to have she just isn't worried about the fear of violence from men. She doesn't have to worry about that shit. There's no way a dude could roll on Buffy on his best day. So she can be like, you know, even if, because she like knows Xander, and she can just be like no, and knows that like Xander won't take it any farther than that. And even if he could, like, fuck did he do?
Like, she'll lay him off flat.
Yeah, and as we, like I said, you couldn't even, if you're coming at Buffy with a gun, you better go for a headshot, because she'll come after you.
I wish all men knew that.
If all women were slayers.
I wish a man would approach me with that in their head, like, all right, said no once, I'm gonna be obsessed from a distance, and I will kill you.
And which I have learned is the secret. Just be obsessed from a distance, fellas, and don't go any farther.
And stop trying to push it. Like, there's a difference between saying no in like a flirty way and wanting them to keep doing that, and then saying no and clearly not being interested in anything romantic and just wanting to be friends.
Yeah, no, and like I said, it's a weird catch. Like, I always think about it this way. It's like the one thing that men know about women more than anything else is women have like the perfect excuse to not fuck with you, like, at all. Like, that's going up to a woman trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna like ask her out to do something. She has a million, not any excuses, just answers to say no. So you're going in on that, just like fucking Rambo, like you got to take the door, whatever. You're going in knowing that you're going to get an automatic no matter how you come with it. So you go in with that kind of like rejection, and you kind of have to like wade through it. And not to say that like women don't face rejection, but I'm just saying as a male who has I was like, why that just sounds bad when you say it. Pursued women, like when you pursue women, you go in it like, you know, you're hoping for the best, but knowing that like this is most likely going to end in rejection, and then you just gotta take it on the chin, keep moving. You know, it's not the end of the world, you know. But it's like Xander is, like I said, Xander never has to like answer for that at all, and especially all the other things he does later. I mean, here's Willow. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yellow Crayon can't save that.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, we might as well talk about this too, because he might be a little racist.
I think again, he is the combined effort of every terrible man, and that includes like sexism, racism, homophobia, all that kind of stuff.
I was mainly just referring to the shirt.
The shirt, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't wear that shirt if he wasn't a little racist.
And I was thinking too, I think it was the episode before it is when he wore the porn star shirt too.
Yeah,
well. So it's like
that's
like,
in my notes as well.
And especially because like that, it was like up to those 2 points where we were like, man, Xander's shirt game is on point.
There's
and then
Xander porn star shirt.
He wore the porn star shirt, and then he wore the fucking
Sambo racist shirt, and he's like,
oh. Yeah, and that like it's wild too to think like how many like so many people like have watched that. I haven't seen anything about that.
Because maybe
shirt.
they know what it is. Because we had mentioned maybe it's a mascot of something. Maybe, and I'm not trying to excuse it because
but
clearly it is.
Sounds like you are.
Up.
I'm just kidding.
Well, no, because like, the thing is, like, some mascots are just like inherently racist,
right?
as we know.
That's
so
why they made them.
Yeah, so it's like
maybe
I'm gonna be racist.
Maybe it's not.
But it's for a team.
It's for a team,
though. It's not racist.
Well, silly
it's
news.
for a sports team. Haven't you ever heard of it?
Like, oh shit! I'm sorry, man. Continue.
They're not racist at all.
Continue to wear the Sambo shirt. That's fine.
Yeah, no, and that was like the only thing I had in my head too, was that it was a mascot, just because of the way it just was like so front and center. But I just like, you know, who picked out that shirt from wardrobe? Who
it
was
reminds me of
like going through shirts and they're like
That
one. Like, well, it has a very prominent racism on it. We gotta make sure we get that in there. And also, there's no black people, so it's fine.
I think you can defend it this way. I think it's like Get Out.
It
You know?
reminds me of this one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like the clothing brand.
If you saw, if you see that image on like a shirt, it is very questionable. Like,
right.
Yeah, I know that's a monkey, but
that's just what it reminded me of, was like the clothing brand.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
like,
but yeah, no, it's very questionable. But I feel like if we knew at least what it was, like if it means something, if it's like a logo for something, if it's a mascot, but we have no idea. It just looks like a racist image on a shirt that Xander Harris is wearing with no problem.
Yeah, like the worst, like yeah.
And
like,
nobody's questioning
Nobody's
it.
saying anything about it, because I have spent hours last week on the internet trying to find anything about that shirt, and the most I could find was Xander Harris shirt in this episode. Nothing about it, and I was like, okay, but what is it? But what is on the shirt? Like, why can't I find this anywhere?
Let's shoot an email to our best friend Joss Whedon real fast. Joss, why are you a piece of shit first? Second, why is
like,
this in Buffy?
I think the only thing that could have made that shirt worse was like if it had like the numbers 88 on it, you know, like just to double down on it or something, you know.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
have you noticed that how every racist thing that happens in the show happens around Xander, because the swastika is wearing a Xander scene. Yeah. The shirt is a Xander thing.
The pack is
Xander.
Yeah, and that is also a really racist episode.
Yeah.
Like,
It all and then just all the very questionable things like that happen to Xander or around Xander because the weird student-teacher relationship thing.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about
Xander.
too. I think we talked about it in the last video, or I imagined I talked about it, but like
Dream about it.
Yeah, I had a dream about it. But yeah, I think we talked about it in the last video. The Mantis Lady episode. Like if it was reversed, if it was Willow and a male teacher, that would be
disgusting.
A disgusting, creepy episode. Even if Willow is like, you know, if Willow even acted the same way as Xander and the other boy did, that excitement about it. But then it's like, well, then we do the I Robot, and then like Willow is like, because when Xander's like, oh, you know, hey, I'm about to go fuck this teacher, and then when
I'm
it's
gonna go fist this teacher.
I'm gonna go fist this
That's what
teacher.
I thought you were gonna say.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know,
I'm gonna go fist my fucking teacher.
But when Willow is, when there's any like kind of like idea of romance around Willow, like her, the woman's purity is like has to be protected. Like Buffy's like, hey, you don't know what this person is. It's like somehow Willow has to be protected, but like Xander doesn't. It's like, oh, and then also, I mean, because that's the whole thing with Buffy, like her, we talked about it with Prophecy Girl. Like, I mean, come on, like she's wearing a white dress, going to go get penetrated.
Innocent.
It's so, and it is very ham-fisted into there. Once you like look at it, you're just like, okay, I get it.
Trying to be subtle about the message.
You're gonna fucking die as a virgin.
And
you can't drive.
And it's the master who gets penetrated. He really does.
You're not wrong.
Really, just come dried up.
He's come dry. Yeah, he's also another thing too. He's the only vampire that gets like turned into bones. Like they had to destroy his bones.
He was just so wet.
That's why they couldn't do it. Like they're still wet. It's been 2 years. Like
because I feel like he's just been holding it in that whole time, so his bones are just like soaked. It's like when you throw a wet log on a fire.
It's calcified. My bones are calcified. Cum.
Okay. I mean, do you have anything else?
Tons.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just cut you off there.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to ask, like, what are you looking forward to in season 2?
Spike. And Drew.
I mean, like, yeah. But that was what I was going to talk about. Like, Angel. Like, I didn't realize how much, like, he didn't get a lot of play.
Not in that first season.
Not in that first season. Like, he's kind of like
showing up in the club like a fucking creep.
Yeah, and so it's like you don't hear too much about him, but yeah, we're gonna get more Angel, and your boy loves Angel.
I know you love Angel.
It's great.
I know you love Angel.
May I just read a couple questionable quotes that happened in the show in season 1? Because I've been writing down the really weird ones that if they were set in TV shows now, it would not.
Oh yeah, there's been some bad ones.
Would not fly. These are the 2 that I wrote down that I thought were the most questionable. In the very first episode, Buffy says, "I'm so mentally challenged."
Yeah, I remember that one.
And then in, I believe, the Out of Mind, Out of Sight episode with the Invisible Girl, Cordelia says, "My eyes are hazel, Helen Keller."
Yeah, I remember that too.
And then the last thing that I have in my notes that I feel like is a very good question: why didn't Willow fuck Buffy?
I think I asked that.
Yeah,
because I was gonna say with like Xander, like what if it was flipped?
Yeah,
and like Willow was the one going at like pursuing her, and it's like how do we view that? And it's like, well, and because by like you said, by the time like Willow is like full bore lesbian, she's like doesn't like it's like Buffy's clearly not her type.
Right.
She can like respect her and like keep the friendship and keep all that separate, but somehow Xander's just really bad at it. Really bad at
because I think women have a lot more respect for other women when it comes to their friendships.
Certainly.
Than a lot of men do when they're in. Because I know this isn't true because I know it's not true with you.
Oh no, it is.
I don't feel like our entire friendship is based off of you trying to fuck one of us. Well, you know what I mean? Like,
you're someone else's property. That would just be rude.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we can be friends without me ever having to worry about you trying to take that step. But I don't, like, Xander, I don't think ever really truly wants to be friends with Buffy. I think he's still trying to fuck her the entire time. But with even lesbians, I have lesbian friends, and they're not friends with me because they secretly want to fuck me.
Yeah, let you know of.
I feel like they would have said something. But that's what I'm saying is, like, there is a difference between, I don't know, certain kinds of men and then lesbians. I just feel like they're more respectful when it comes to their friendships with other women. Or other people. Folks. Friends.
Other genders.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes. Yeah. I said.
I like folks.
Folks with an X.
Pals.
God dang it.
Pals.
We're gonna just make this as neutral as possible. We're gonna flip all the letters around.
Humans. You know what I'm saying, though. Like,
yeah.
I feel like lesbians have more respect for their friendships if it's with the same gender or not.
Also, I just want to say, I think if it was one of those things where Willow was pursuing Buffy, I feel like it would be more successful. I don't feel like if they put that in the story itself, it would be something where it's like like Xander like hounding her the way it is. It's like, I feel like it would just be like something that's like either one works or they just like, yeah, don't do at all because it's unnecessary. Like there's no need, like I you know, I love romantic relationships and I do enjoy love, but like, you know, platonic relationships are important, and I think that like that is something about the 90s too within like the show is just like, well, there's got to be a relationship of some sort. Like, you know, even once like they introduce Angel, it's like she has to have like some sort of like partner. Mm-hmm. Like, and obviously that doesn't work the way it should because Buffy. But like, I don't know. It's an interesting idea that like, you know, they could have just made Xander easily a platonic friend without even adding that level to it.
It wasn't necessary at all.
Yeah, but they did. And I think that's something that is like also inherently 90s.
I also think they were trying to do that as a way to like make Xander more human, more like personable, I guess, because he has a very aggressive, I guess, like attitude towards his friendships in general. He's just a piece of shit. I don't know. I don't even want to get into
this
it.
was just actually about Xander, and this is why we're doing this. We're just going to talk about Xander. Yeah. Okay.
I do have to say, though, I love Nicholas Brendan, like, as a person. I talked to him on Facebook one time, so I just had to put that in there. Nothing against him. I just hate Xander Harris. I think that he did a really good job playing him because I hated him. And I know that wasn't what we were supposed to be feeling, but I feel like if you can make me feel a certain way about a character, like, strongly like that, then you're doing a good job. Plus, Nicholas Brendan is just so nice. He's a very nice person.
All right, I don't have anything else. I just want to watch more Buffy now.
Yeah, no, I do too. I'm very excited. Season 2, we get Spike. You know, I'm excited when they first.
And I do love this first episode because it's just like so ludicrous.
Yeah, it's I'm season 1. I never really went through and rewatched again when I was younger. I tried to during the first half of like being locked down when everything was closed. I was like, I'm gonna rewatch Buffy.
Like,
made it 3 episodes last year, and then I was like, I'm just gonna skip to the episode where Spike comes in. So I missed all of that. So that was like my first time going through it again since the first time I'd watched it. Ooh. So it was a lot of fun. I'm really excited.
All right, so we'll see you next time, and thanks.
We
Thanks
love
for watching.
We're gonna try to fuck you.